The implementation of a worldwide digital ID represents the most comprehensive and inescapable form of slavery the world has ever known. Instead of building cages to house dissidents, governments will coerce individuals to create prisons of their own. Self-censorship of speech and action will be extracted. Compliance will be the new currency. Obedience to the government, complete submission to the government will be required for you to be a member of society. No more freedom of speech, no bodily autonomy, no freedom of movement, no buying, no selling, no access to health services, no access to emergency services or government services or banking services, no access to the internet. Plus, mandatory vaccinations whenever the government deems appropriate. So, even if you agree to this digital ID that is currently being rolled out, and you acquiesce to this humiliation ritual with the face scanning, fingerprint cataloging, iris recording, voice capture, DNA sampling, right? Even if you initially allow the beast system through artificial intelligence to have you as a product with a barcode or QR code and having all of your information stored and accessible by the government, and you agree to be surveilled, traced, and tracked like cattle, at what point do you say, okay, enough is enough? Because I want you to think about something. Once they get the majority of the population to give consent and join this new religious cult by having their identities digitally recorded and preserved in this system, that's just the initiation, man. And once they get the majority of the people into it, then comes step 2. Now, you may ask, what is step 2? Step 2 is compliance. In order to keep your identity active in the system to allow you to participate in society, first and foremost, they're going to ask you to become up to date with the vaccination schedule. They are going to ask you to recant your religious beliefs and affiliation, among many other things. So the question now becomes, at what point do you say enough is enough? Will it be when you are told to denounce the Most High and His only begotten Son, or the Bible? Will it be when you are told that you have to become up to date with your mRNA or DNA vaccinations? At what point will you decide that You no longer want to be a part of this sick, satanic world. How close to the edge of the cliff that leads to the abyss and the bottomless pit are you willing to go before you decide, you know what, maybe I should turn around? And now, the second question that we will ask is, will the people in the line behind you allow you to turn around? And the third question is, will you even have enough strength to be able to turn around at that point? Mentally, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, to be able to extract yourself from this trap once you already agree to it.
Four years ago, while billions of people were getting an experimental gene therapy drug, the United Nations announced their goal to get the entire world on digital IDs by the year 2030, which is a stated part of their Sustainable Development 2030 agenda.
The United Nations is ready to digitally transform how it deals with identity, with a system to streamline information sharing, daily workflows, access to platforms and buildings, operating across agencies, by providing its personnel with a universal, system-wide identity solution. Introducing the UN Digital ID, a unique and digital identity for UN personnel from the day you join to the day you part. All of your personal, HR, medical, travel, security, payroll and pension data in the palm of your hand, giving you full control on what you share and with whom. With blockchain and biometrics, the UN Digital ID makes verification efficient, secure, transparent, immutable, portable and universal. It's been piloted by different agencies and the UN Pension Fund, where they've replaced current manual processes with certainty for who and where pension recipients say they are at any given time. As innovation transforms the world, we can improve the way we manage our identities online. UN Digital IDs, a building block for digital cooperation, unlocking the promise of the SDGs.
About 5 years before that, presidential candidate Donald Trump stated that this was also his goal.
We will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
The main purpose of opening the borders was to create chaos so that order in the form of a digital ID system would be tolerated. In order for a biometric border system to work, everyone will obviously need to be in the system. And the Trump administration is using tariffs to compel foreign nations to comply. After threatening to impose harsher tariffs on Colombia, the Statement of Intent for Biometric Cooperation was drafted between the U.S. and Colombia. After returning from this trip, U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem said that she met with Mexican President Sheinbaum about sharing biometric data in exchange for ending tariffs.
Do you think the Mexican president, you talked to her, is doing enough to defeat the cartels down there?
You know, we talked extensively about that. I gave her some options of more she could do. And I asked her specifically to share biometric information with us. And she's willing to discuss that, even though that in her country would be a little bit controversial. But she's putting a good faith effort. But President Trump is clear. He doesn't want people to keep talking. He wants to see action. And she has an opportunity to do some things that I will give a report to the president on and see if we can deal with the tariff situation that may be facing her people.
As a result of this, several laws went into effect last week in Mexico that will require the CURP, Mexico's 18-character version of the U.S. Social Security number, to include a QR code containing biometric data of both fingerprints and retinal scans. These new digital IDs will be monitored by the new Unified Identity Platform Agency, and biometric data will be shared with both Mexican and U.S. government agencies. The new biometric CURP will be legally required to purchase internet and mobile service, and changes to Mexico's telecommunications law will force internet service providers to share users' real-time geolocation data with Mexican authorities, allowing them the ability to shut down service and block digital platforms for failing to comply with regulatory provisions. Greg Reese reporting.
Mexico makes biometric identifier mandatory for all citizens. Mexico has officially introduced a digital identification system by signing a law that turned a previously optional biometric-based citizen code into a mandatory document for all citizens. Last month, legislators approved amendments to a law related to the 18-character personal identifier, known as Unique Population Registry Code, Clave Única de Registro de Población, CURP, with the change formalized on Wednesday through a decree. The mandatory CURP will contain personal and biometric information, including a photograph and a QR code containing biometric fingerprint and iris data. The identifier is expected to be introduced gradually to all Mexicans by February 2026. The government has also allowed the consolidation of the citizen codes into a single identity platform that will be connected to other state databases and administrative records. According to the decree, the Ministry of the Interior and the Digital Transformation Agency must create a unified identity platform within 90 days, while public and private institutions will be required to update their system to recognize the identifier. The country also plans to kickstart a national program to collect biometric data from children and adolescents within 120 days, according to news outlet Mexico Business. CURP raises surveillance suspicions. The first CUPR was issued in 1996, allowing both citizens and residents to use it in tax filings, company records, schools, passport applications, and other government services. The biometric version of the code began rollout at the beginning of 2025. Privacy advocates, however, have viewed the introduction of the mandatory biometric ID with suspicion, raising concerns that the CURP will lead to surveillance and data security issues. The new law, for instance, does not require authorities to inform citizens when their data is viewed or accessed. This puts us in a massive surveillance ecosystem with no provisions to identify wrong use of data, data breaches, identity theft, or acts of corruption, Jose Flores, director of digital rights group R3D, told Context News. CUPR could also allow Mexico to establish data sharing agreements with other countries, including a deportation deal with U.S. law enforcement agencies. Rights groups such as Article 19 believe that the ID will give intelligence services access to data without restrictions or transparency. Mexico's national security agencies, such as the National Intelligence Center and the National Guard, are among the government bodies that will gain access to the biometric data.
I remain fully committed to my pledge never to allow the creation of a central bank digital currency in America. It won't happen. My first...
So I saw that clip on my Twitter timeline. I'm like, thumbs up, hell yeah. I'm flapping my wings like a bird because I'm like, we're free from the central bank digital currency. This is an actual win. And then a few moments later, I see the clip from his buddy, David Sachs. And this is what he said. Take a listen.
And now today, you have another historic legislative achievement that is a monumental step to fulfilling your promise to making the United States the crypto capital of the world. This Genius Act will unlock American dominance in the crypto industry by creating clear rules of the road. It will update archaic payment rails with a revolutionary new payment system. And it will extend U.S. dollar dominance, like you said, globally, by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use.
Did you guys hear that? One more time.
will extend U.S. dollar dominance, like you said, globally, by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use.
So to me, that sounds like the same thing, just a different label. Instead of a central bank digital currency, oh, no, you're not getting that. You're just getting a digital dollar. Anyways, I was curious, so I went to ChatGPT and I asked it, I said, how exactly will our lives change with this new Genius Law passed and a digital dollar? And this is what it said. It said you'll still use dollars, but digitally. It said you won't stop spending money, but you'll slowly stop spending physical cash. It'll be fast, cheap, and convenient, but behind the scenes, every transaction will be logged, traceable, and potentially programmable, which sounds terrible. It says that pilot programs will start quietly. You might start getting offers like claim your $500 digital rebate, faster tax refunds if you sign up for your federal wallet, and it will feel like a reward, but it's bait to get you into the system early. I'm sure my audience will enjoy this one. We'll be nudged towards a digital ID, and to use the digital dollar long term, you'll likely need the KYC verification, your social security number, and possibly even biometrics, face scan, and fingerprint. And eventually the wallet will equal your ID. And once you're in, opting out becomes harder. Thumbs up. Next one, it says your money could be smart. Programmable money means that your funds could expire if not spent by a deadline. It could be restricted to certain merchants, items, or regions, or be frozen or limited based on government decisions or flags. So to me, that kind of sounds like if you get on their bad side, they could just freeze our funds. Think if you keep questioning about the Epstein files, your account's going to get frozen. If you keep, questioning why we send all this money to our greatest ally while we have a bunch of issues here at home, your funds will be frozen. Sounds great, doesn't it? Next one, it says surveillance will be built in. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Anything digital, they can basically see and flag you and watch what you're doing and spending on at all times. So good. Here we go. I'm sure my audience is going to absolutely love this one. And that is that they will have more control over us during emergencies. And think Palantir, they're going to have all our data. They're going to know if we're vaccinated, all this BS. And then they'll be able to say, oh, it's an emergency. There's a new pandemic. You got to stay home to stay safe. Hey, you, what do you think you're doing? We know that you're not vaccinated. Well, you're supposed to stay home and stay safe. And we see that you're trying to go to that bar, that movie theater, hang out with your friends. You're a danger. You're putting them at risk. Before, they couldn't really do much about it because you just use cash. Now it's all digital, what they're trying to do. So they'll just be able to shut your account down and you'll be screwed. And this is how it finished. It said, bottom line, this is what the Genius Act sets the foundation for, a compliant, traceable, and eventually programmable dollar rolled out by private actors just strictly to avoid the CBDC label. With government back-end control, it won't look like tyranny at first. It will look like innovation, safety, and convenience. But over time, it becomes a soft prison that you can't escape without being flagged. Anyways, guys, who cares about all that? Because the good news is, at least it's not a central bank digital currency. It's a digital dollar, which does the same thing. And we're still controlled and there's still psychopaths. But it's a different name, a different brand. So everything's great. Thanks, Trump, for banning CBDCs. Awesome.
Hey guys, my name is Lily and today I want to report from Austria again. This time I would like to start with this letter here. And this is a letter that I've gotten by my health insurance association. This is a governmental institute where I have my mandatory healthcare and social welfare account. And they've been writing me this letter. And here they are saying, hey, we have a €100 bonus for you, but we could not transfer this money to your bank account because we don't have your bank details yet. And I was like, how is this possible? Because I've been a company for more than 10 years. How come they don't have my bank account if I'm paying them money quarterly with my social welfare taxes? Also, sometimes when there's too much money in my social welfare account, they are paying the money back to my bank account. So they definitely have my bank account, right? And then they go on and say, to collect this money, you just have to insert your bank account information into the SVS Go app or onto the website of this institute. So I actually tried to log into the website and give them my bank account details, but then you will get an information that you will have to log on with your digital identity app. And that's something I don't have yet, right? So down here they are saying, you don't have an ID Austria yet? Then go to this governmental website and get your ID Austria. So yeah, the ID Austria is something that they are trying to lure us in right now. And also now they are starting to force us to use the digital identity. For example, here we got a case where a teacher, you know, when a teacher is giving grade to students, they have to put it into the Socrates system. And formerly in the past it was enough to have a password to log into the Socrates website and give grades to students. But now they require to have a digital identity for the teachers, otherwise they cannot put in the grades for the students. But now a teacher said she doesn't want to use the digital identity because she doesn't trust the system because of various data protection concerns. And now the principal of this school is threatening the teacher with dismissal. That comes in a time where many teachers have a burnout, where we don't have enough of teachers, where a lot of teachers are quitting anyways. And that's of course really, really bad for the school system. Next, there was a really interesting documentary about the digital ID and how people are forced to use it on Servus TV, which is a Austrian TV station. And here they are saying in this video that the teacher is not the only case, but also now farmers, if they want to apply for subventions, they have to use the digital ID Austria.
Giving our praises, glory, and honor to Yahawah, the name of our Heavenly Father, Bahasham, or in the name Yahawashi, the name of our Master and Savior, Bahasham Rakakudash, or through the Holy Spirit, with our thanks for another day, another breath of life, another opportunity to blow the trumpet in Zion. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, pursuant to 1 Timothy 5:17. Salutations to all my fellow laborers, pushing this truth in all sincerity, pursuant to Matthew 9:37. And shalom to the saints. Yahawah willing, this lesson will be edifying, relevant unto salvation for the hopeful elect. And the title of this lesson is Biometric Capture, the Humiliation Ritual. Biometric Capture, the Humiliation Ritual. According to the Google AI overview, taking someone's biometric data is often referred to as biometric capture or biometric enrollment, especially when it involves collecting and recording the data for the first time to be used for identification or verification purposes. This process can involve various methods: fingerprint scanning, facial recognition, or voice recording. So, every single person on the planet is about to be subjected to a humiliation ritual where they are going to scan your face from multiple angles and multiple facial expressions. Scan your iris or your eyeballs. Scan your palm. Scan your fingerprints. Scan your voice. Even scan your blood. And for most people, they have already scanned your blood. All of this is going to be put onto a digital ID. So your fingerprints, your palm prints, your iris scan, your face, your blood, in addition to all the other information about you. Your name, your social security number, your driver's license, your gun license, your medical history, your social media history, your job, your tax status, your immigration status, whatever information there is to have and know about you is going to be placed on these digital IDs. And all of that information is going to be ready at a moment's notice to be able to categorize you, to determine, along with other things, if you are allowed to participate in society. All the different countries of the earth have already signed on to this, and many of them have already implemented this, with many more in the process of implementing this, okay? So there's not going to be any escape from this reality in the next few years, man. And there's no real opposition against this. This is 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. The people are ignorant of Satan's devices. Like I said, there's no real opposition against this. And when you listen to them speak about what they're opposed against, they're not opposed to anything really except, oh, who's going to be in charge of handling people's privacy? Is it going to be safe and blah, blah, blah. They're not really opposed to it in and of itself. They're just opposed to who's going to be handling it. You check it out? They don't understand that this is the end of freedom of any sort on the face of this earth, man. This is Psalms now, 37th chapter. I'm going to start from verse 7. It says, rest in Yahawah and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. You see that? It goes on, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. But those that wait upon the Most High, they shall inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and they shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. So, we're not fretting because of this thing, man. We know that the wicked was made for this. All right? We know that this is going to bring about the great sifting, like we read about in Amos, the 9th chapter, where you are going to be placed with the opportunity to decide who you're going to trust, who you're going to place your faith and trust in, who you're going to believe in. Because when they bring about this digital ID, no sooner than they bring it out, they are going to implement stringent behavioral controls upon the human population. All right? Remember when the C-19 came out, they had something called a VAX passport. One of the main reasons, or I should say one of the main purposes that they're going to use this digital ID for is to make sure you have been inoculated X amount of times, over and over, to keep your status in good standing. All right? Because once they have all your information on this one digital ID, including your bank account, including your licenses, including everything about you, they could just turn it off if you fail to comply with whatever the government mandates. You see that? We know ultimately that they want to put a chip, a subdermal chip underneath your skin to ultimately control you. But even before that, they're going to be controlling you, man. You check it out? This is 2 Corinthians 2:11, and we should all know this precept by heart at this point. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Emphasis on the word devices. Plural. Right? That means he doesn't only have one device. So we have to not be ignorant of his devices. And this digital ID certainly qualifies as one of his greatest devices, man. The implementation of a worldwide digital ID represents the most comprehensive and inescapable form of slavery the world has ever known. Instead of building cages to house dissidents, governments will coerce individuals to create prisons of their own. Self-censorship of speech and action will be extracted. Compliance will be the new currency. Obedience to the government, complete submission to the government will be required for you to be a member of society. No more freedom of speech, no bodily autonomy, no freedom of movement, no buying, no selling, no access to health services, no access to emergency services or government services or banking services, no access to the internet. Plus, mandatory vaccinations whenever the government deems appropriate. So, even if you agree to this digital ID that is currently being rolled out, and you acquiesce to this humiliation ritual with the face scanning, fingerprint cataloging, iris recording, voice capture, DNA sampling, right? Even if you initially allow the beast system through artificial intelligence to have you as a product with a barcode or QR code and having all of your information stored and accessible by the government, and you agree to be surveilled, traced, and tracked like cattle, at what point do you say, okay, enough is enough? Because I want you to think about something. Once they get the majority of the population to give consent and join this new religious cult by having their identities digitally recorded and preserved in this system, that's just the initiation, man. And once they get the majority of the people into it, then comes step 2. Now, you may ask, what is step 2? Step 2 is compliance. In order to keep your identity active in the system to allow you to participate in society, first and foremost, they're going to ask you to become up to date with the vaccination schedule. They are going to ask you to recant your religious beliefs and affiliation, among many other things. So the question now becomes, at what point do you say enough is enough? Will it be when you are told to denounce the Most High and His only begotten Son, or the Bible? Will it be when You are told that you have to become up to date with your mRNA or DNA vaccinations. At what point will you decide that you no longer want to be a part of the sick, satanic world? How close to the edge of the cliff that leads to the abyss and the bottomless pit are you willing to go before you decide, you know what, maybe I should turn around? And now, the second question that we will ask is, will the people in the line behind you allow you to turn around? And the third question is, will you even have enough strength to be able to turn around at that point? Mentally, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, to be able to extract yourself from this trap once you already agreed to it. There's something called sunk cost fallacy. And according to Google, this is a phenomenon whereby a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it is clear that abandonment would be more beneficial. That's why we see so many dummies in Christianity or Rastafari or Islam or whatever. And because they have invested so heavily in it, instead of acknowledging the fact that they were wrong, even when they're presented with evidence to prove that, they hold on to it because of pride. In like manner, there are going to be many people who say, well, the digital ID is not the mark of the beast, so I'm just going to go along with it. And I'm not saying whether you should or shouldn't, that's up to you. But there is something called sunk cost fallacy. And as you get closer and closer to that pit or that trap, deeper and deeper into that cave, many people are not going to be able to come back from it. And that's why we're the one uno, as they would say in this country. That means we are warning you. Okay? Check this out. This is the book of Proverbs 22, verse 3. It says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. This is Proverbs 27 and 12. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. A prudent man is a wise man. Alright? If he sees something evil, he goes in the other direction. But the simple or the stupid pass on as if, oh, that's no big deal, oh, I can handle it, whatever the case may be, and are punished. You see, because a wise man knows his weakness, but a fool thinks that he's strong. You check it out? Which one are you? Make no mistake, they are going to make the adoption of this digital ID super, super tempting, man. If you think they made the VAX tempting to take through coercion with the stick and the carrot, you ain't seen nothing yet. They're going to give people cash prizes to take this digital ID. All right? Because remember, it's also going to be attached to your bank account. Okay? They're going to give people perhaps debt relief, maybe forgive your credit card loans or forgive your student loans or all of these other things to entice you into taking this thing, man. They might even give you so-called FBAs, those reparations that you keep begging for, man. Because they know once they get you on the hook, they could do whatever they want with you. All right? So don't say we never warned you. So I think the point has been made. I could make this lesson much longer than it is, but I've already covered this topic multiple times and I'm going to cover it again, Yahawah willing. So hopefully you were edified. And with that, we're going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations to all my fellow laborers, warning the people. And shalom to the saints. Shalom.